Welcome to my April wrap up. In this video, I will show you all the books that I've heard in the month of April, that I've read in the month of April, and that I will be unhauling now after the month. So let's start with the books that I've hauled. We have 4 physical books and 3 ebooks here. So let's start with the ebooks. The first one is In Her Own League by Liz Tomford, the spin off to the Windy City series. It is a sports romance focused on baseball, and in this spin off, we have 2 characters falling in love with each other that we already know from the Windy City series, which is our new team owner, Reese Remington, and I forgot how his position was called, but Emmett Montgomery. I think he is some of the coaches of the team, and we already had the Roman story of his daughter in the Windy City series. Now it is his turn to fall in love with Reese, with the new team owner, and it is complicated between these two, not only because they have a work relationship, which is the biggest issue between these two, but we also have an age gap of around 10 years. She is in her mid 30s, he is in his mid 40s, but the tension is there, the spark is there. There are just so many other things that complicate a relationship between these two that I don't know how they will find a solution for that. But I will figure it out this month now in May, because it is on my May TBR and I already started reading it. And it will probably be part of my next final chapter vlog, which will come in June. So stay tuned for that. And one of the next books will also be part of that vlog, because I also hauled The Dixon Rule and The Charlie Method by L. Kennedy, book 2 and 3 in the Campus Diaries trilogy. And I already read The Dixon Rule in April, so I can put it on this side of the table. If it would have been a physical book, with an ebook, we just imagine that, but I can already check that off the TBR and have now the Charlie Method left for May. It is also on my May TBR. I also already started reading the book. Both sports romances on my TBR are buddy reads, but I already told you that in my May TBR video. So let's go to the physical books. And the first one is one that technically doesn't count. It is the German Luxus edition of The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. And I love the movie. I also love the musical. I saw that in Hamburg, and I had this book already on my TBR. Of course, not in this beautiful edition, but in this one that doesn't really look appealing, and I never tended to read it, but then I saw this copy in the bookshop and couldn't turn away, so I bought it and will switch the editions on my TBR now. So this will be one of the books I will unhaul at the end of this vlog. Spoiler alert! But this goes on my TBR now, and hopefully I will read it soon. I am really hopeful here that I can do that and read this book in the next few months, because at this point I'm really good at staying on track with the books I'm hauling this year. Yes, I have a tiny 2026 TBR, but I'm working on that every month, and excluding the books that are on my May TBR and the books that I'm hauling in this vlog, I have a 2026 TBR that is under 10 books, and I am very happy with this result. I hope it stays like this. And as I said, hopefully we'll read this book soon. I put it behind me because it is not an addition to my TBR. I explained that, and I want the stacks here to compare in the end what I read and what I've added to my TBR. So let's go with the first book that I will add to the TBR here in physical form. It is The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, the pen name of Kat Clark and V.E. Schwab. I can't wait to read this book. I had this for pre-order for almost a year now because that was the first time I've heard about it and heard people talk about it on social media, because that was the time the first arcs went out, and I was immediately intrigued by the idea and the whole discussion where the people tried to figure out which authors were behind the name Evelyn Clark, because all the people know at this point back then was that both were female authors, both were bestseller authors, and both were from different genres. So here we are now, Kat Clark and V.E. Schwab. It was revealed a few months ago, and it is about a writing retreat. So, six authors gather on an island to write on their stories, and then it goes mysterious. Something happens, and I think they need to figure out who did it. So, a murder mystery, which I haven't read in a long time, but I can't wait to read it, and I will definitely read this book soon because I have a vlog idea for this and a few other books that are on my TBR. So you will probably see that book again on my June TBR. The vlog with this book is already out. It was part of my last final chapter vlog, and if you know, you already know which book this is. It is Heated Rivalry, book 2 of the Game Changer series. In Germany, it is book 1, and the original book 1 will be book 3 in Germany, because first we get the books of Ilya and Shane, and then we continue in the original order with the books that are left. And that's all because Heated Rivalry was a book that was already published in German, but the only book that was already published. And then they decided, after the big hype of Heated Rivalry, to publish and translate the whole series. So for me, it was the first book in the Game Changer series. And as you can tell, obviously, I have already read the book. It was the first book that I finished in May. So you will see that again in my May wrap up. And we will continue now with the next book, which is already the last book that I've hauled. It is the second and final book of a duology, and it is My Blade, Your Back by K.M. Moronova. I already had book 1 on my TBR since November last year. I haven't read it yet, but I want to be able to read the whole duology in one go, which is why I already ordered book 2 before reading book 1. And the duology will probably not land on my June TBR, but maybe July We will see. Maybe I can do a dark romance vlog because I have a few other dark romances on my TBR that I want to test if I will still like them or not. But for now, that's it. These are all the books that I've hauled. 4 physical books and 3 ebooks. And I have reading plans for all of them, so I'm pretty happy with that. And we can continue now with the books that I finished in April. The first one is the chunkiest one, and it took me the whole month to read this book because I only read a few chapters per day. Everything else overwhelmed me because there is so much going on in the series, but I'm still loving it. It is super entertaining, and it was also a buddy read with my buddy read girls on Discord. And it is This Inevitable Ruin by Mark Dinneman, book 7 of the Dungeon Crawler Car series, and not the newest book in the series anymore with today, because today is the publishing day of book 8, A Parade of Horribles. So I caught up in time and can continue the series now. Perfect timing on my end. And I can't wait to see when book 8 will be shipped to me, because that is not the case for now. And it will take some time because I ordered the US copy of it that matches my copies that I already have for the series. And US copies always take a while to be shipped to me because the German bookstore always needs a bit of time to get them themselves, which is okay. I have time. And if I really, really want to start this book, I can get it over Kindle Unlimited, and I will definitely do that and get the audiobook on Audible, which is cheaper if you get the Kindle Unlimited book before. I don't know if you already knew that. In a lot of cases, if you get the ebook, you can get the audiobook cheaper on Amazon. And in this case, the audiobooks are a must have for me because they are so, so good. And I will definitely do immersive reading here if I continue with book 8. And a series that I also continued in April was the Letters of Enchantment duology by Rebecca Ross with Ruthless Vows, my Thursday Read With Me book. My review to it is already out if you want to see it, but I really enjoyed this duology. I enjoyed book 2 more than book 1, and I also teared up in the end of this story. It wasn't exactly a highlight for me, but I'm really, really happy that I've read this duology now because it was really good and I loved the writing of Rebecca Ross. So I am very intrigued to read more of her. I know there is one book that is connected to this duology. I think it was called Wild Reverence, but I could be wrong here. And to be honest, I have no intention of buying it right now, but maybe at some point in the future, we will see about that. Series over series that I continued. Here we have the next one with the Darkmoor Penitentiary series by Susan Valenti and Caroline Peckham. Alpha Wolf is book 2 of the series. There are 4 books in total, and I have the next one on my May TBR. And spoiler alert, I already finished it. And so far, I like this series more than the Ruthless Boys series. Both are by these authors, both are in the Zodiac Academy universe. So they are connected and they are both dark fantasy waifus. But in this series, we have more plot, more drama, more of the emotional stuff and stuff to suffer. And I'm more of a fan of that than the whole spicy thing just for the sake of spice. So I have high hopes here for the rest of the series and can't wait to continue. And as I said, series after series, here we have the final book of a trilogy, and it is Game On by Navessa Allen, the final book of the Into Darkness trilogy, a dark romantic comedy series. And even if book one, Lights Out, was the most funny book in the series, I really liked this book too. Yes, the male main character was an asshole throughout the whole story, but I really liked that it was a little bit different. I like the humor in this book. I like the writing of Navessa Allen, and I really, really like that she always includes very serious topics in this book and gives the stories depth. So I can't wait to read more of her. And I really hope that she will write more dark rom-coms in the future. We are getting closer to the end now, but this is not the last book that I finished. It is Come to Me Quietly by A.L. Jackson, the first book in a trilogy that was on my TBR since 2015. It was part of my 26 for 2026 challenge, like book two of the series. But I decided after I finished book one that I won't continue the series. I liked a lot of aspects of the book, but it got crazy and very, very over dramatic in the end. And I wasn't a fan of that. I also wasn't a fan of a specific trope that came up in the end. So I wasn't intrigued to pick up book two, which led to my decision to DNF the series. But I'm still glad that I've read it and that it is no longer on my TBR. And here we have the last book that I've read. I've started a new series in April after I've watched the Amazon Prime series based on these books, which is Young Sherlock Holmes by Andrew Lane. This is book one. In English, this is called Death Cloud. And the first three books of the Young Sherlock Holmes series were on my TBR also since 2015. So they are also part of my 26 for 2026 challenge. I really want to work on old TBR books here, and I really enjoyed reading book one. Originally, I also wanted to read book two and three in April, but there was a lot going on reading wise in April, and I haven't gotten to it. I have started book two in April, but I haven't finished it. So you will see that in my May TBR because at this point I already finished it and am reading book three, which means these are all the physical books that I've read, and I almost forgot the ebooks that I've read. I already told you I read The Dixon Rule by Al Kennedy. It was super fun. The ice hockey came a bit short, but I really, really liked the story, the humor, the friend group, and also the serious topic that we had in book two. So now I have really high hopes for book three, but as I said, I will tell you more in a future vlog. So let's continue with the other ebooks that I finished. We have two dystopian books that I included in a vlog that came already out in April. The first one is To Cage a White Bird by Brooke Fast, which I liked but didn't love. And I didn't like it enough to continue the series. because in my opinion it was pretty standard dystopian book one in a trilogy. And even if some little things surprised me in the story, most plot twists I've seen coming from miles away, and some things didn't make sense to me, were just stupid, and it wasn't my book. Other than the next one, Daggermouth by H.M. Wolf, the first book in a duology, and I loved this book. I am so hyped. I inhaled it. That was exactly what I wanted to read when I did my dystopian vlog. And now I'm very, very sad that I have to wait until next year to read book 2, Python. Because let's be honest, I want to read it now. I want to read it immediately, especially after this devastating ending. Yes, it ended in a cliffhanger, and now I'm sitting here, want to read more, but can't. But yeah, I will survive that. It is not that I have nothing to read. My TBR is big enough so it won't get boring in the meantime. And I also read another book from my TBR, one that I've added in March this year. It is Midnight Mass by Sierra Simone, the novella following Priest. So it is part of the Priest series, but I completely missed that book when I read the rest of the Priest series in January. So I changed that now, and honestly, it is the book I liked the least in the Priest series. I wasn't a big fan of it, especially of the miscommunication slash no communication. That was super, super frustrating to me. And if you want to know more, you can watch my last final chapter vlog because this book is included in that. And Game On is also included. So that's it on that front. All the books that I've read, and as you can see, even when I include the ebooks, which are 3 on that side, 4 on that side, this deck is bigger than my horse deck, so I am happy with the result and hopefully will continue like that in May. As always, it is my goal to read more than I haul. I did that this month. I want to continue with that. But before I end this vlog and continue on my May vlogs, I have to unhaul some books. Let me grab them quickly. Here we go. The first one is this edition of The Phantom of the Opera. As I said, I'm switching my copy here with the new one. And then we have book 1 and 2 of the Close to You trilogy by A.L. Jackson. I've read book 1, Come to Me Quietly. I won't read book 2, Come to Me Softly, and also not read book 3, Come to Me Recklessly, which I have as an ebook, so I can't really unhaul it. I just marked it as read on my e-reader and will never think of it again. So 3 unhauls this month, which means this is the end result. Please tell me in the comments if you have read any of these books. How many books have you have read in April? What was your favorite one? Please like this video if you wanna follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!